Right, same article. You had two more points. Let's go through. How many wide receivers do you think will make the Browns roster? And then Kevin Stefanski won't see the fifth year of his contract. Take us through those 2 points.
Yeah, so let's start with the wide receivers. I think they roster at least six. I think you can make an argument for a seven. So we know the locks are Amari Cooper. We know the lock is Elijah Moore. We know the lock is Cedric Tillman. We believe the lock is Donovan Peoples-Jones. And based off of his play last year, you say, yeah, he's going to be here. And I would say that unless they get an offer they can't refuse, entering a contract year, they just drafted a receiver. They traded for another young receiver. So they've given themselves some depth, and they drafted a third rounder last year in David Bell. David Bell's going to be here this year. I see a very slim chance that he's not on the roster. And I believe that Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to be here. Whether he gets an extension is a different conversation, but he'll be here, I believe, in this year. I think it goes back to kind of what we looked at with Kareem Hunt. Based off of what was on paper, there was no reason for the Browns not to trade Kareem Hunt. He's not here this year. He saw 155 touches last year, and it was probably the worst football of his career. So, but the Browns pretty much dig their heels in when they say, well, we don't get the value in our trade, so why would we trade him for what we don't think is value? And I think that's probably going to be similar to what is going to be with Donovan Peoples-Jones again after this year. I don't know, but I think he'll be here this year. And so that mentions six receivers that we talked about, and they did rework Jakeem Grant's deal, so he's got a little bit more guaranteed money. It's not non-negotiable. They could still cut him, but he is an all-pro special teamer. Do they want to keep the all-pro special teamer? Do they like Jalen Darden enough, the guy they claimed off of waivers last year? Do they like him enough to keep a seventh receiver? So it can get sticky where I could see a pathway where seven receivers can make the roster.
And then take us through the thought where you say Kevin Stefanski won't see the fifth year of his contract.
Yeah, it's extension or bust after the season. So I don't see any pathway where the Browns say, you know what, we'll run it out for this fifth year and see what happens. I think if they make the playoffs, he's going to get a new deal. If they don't, he's not going to be here. Again, they've brought in coordinators who have committed to this regime and said, yeah, we'll be here. And you can say, well, that's because they think they get their head coach in waiting. No team functions like that. No coordinator functions like that. Nobody moves their family to Cleveland for the opportunity to put interim head coach on their resume. And so they have people in place. They have Bill Callahan, who opted not to interview for the offensive coordinator job with the New York Jets and said, no, I want to be here, and signed an extension here. So I think the Browns believe in the regime they have in place. I think that's evident based off of back-to-back seasons where expectations weren't met and they're still here. But again, Stefanski has 1 year left on his deal after this. And I do believe if he gets the team back in the playoffs, that the Browns will give him an extension. They'll reward him with an extension. And if he doesn't, the conversations gets difficult. But again, I just don't see a scenario where they say, where you don't have confidence one way or the other, like, no, we need to move off of him, or no, this is the guy, let's give him an extension.